Meeting to order. I think I'm going to ask those that are here, if you don't mind, let's stand tonight for the invocation. If you don't mind, please. All right, let's bow our heads and pray, please. Heavenly Father, we as community leaders are endowed with responsibility for those that we serve. Heavenly Father, so many times we're inadequate to do all those day-to-day routine things that we're supposed to do for our people. And Heavenly Father, in cases like this where we've got tremendous things on our shoulders, we're really, really inadequate. So as we begin this meeting tonight, Heavenly Father, we ask you to give us your divine guidance as best you can implement it through us. Help us to try to the very best with your spiritual leadership and direction to make the decisions, and not only with this semi-crisis we say we're going through, but every day help us to be good leaders is our prayer. Guide us as we go through this meeting and help us to be continually serving you and our fellow man. Amen.
Amen.
Oh. Well, yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any modifications to the agenda, lady and gentlemen? Hearing none, I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Also motion.
Motion's been made and seconded that we approve the agenda as printed. Of course, we still reserve the right we're going to make in the citizens and commissioner comments, where there'll be some stuff that we'll insert there like we usually do. Got a motion and a second that we approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Bloodworth, for chiming in. Okay. The first item in Bloodworth, if you want to start this off, is discuss cemetery ordinance. If we're not putting you in too awkward a position, you can tell us what you've done and what you've looked at and what you think about it.
Okay, thank you. What it is the city ordinance that we have in section 340. And I've got three different ordinances in front of us, so bear with me. One allows for COVID and one does not. And also talking about loose decorations that are on the graves. And this is a very sensitive matter, but we're having some issues where some complaints of rocks, there's no coating around one of the plots, and rocks get blew up, and this person is concerned that those rocks are going to chip the marble stop, the slab stop. And also too, this ordinance states that there should be no flags or benches. Now there's already some benches, a lot of benches, and especially the cemetery on William Street. And I think we need to revisit this ordinance and allow, but maybe when somebody purchases a plot, I think there needs to be a consultation to tell them exactly what the ordinance says and what is not allowed.
Okay, I agree. I was under the impression that we were doing that to some extent. I think the ladies up there, when we prepare the deeds and give it to them, we try to explain that, and we also give them a copy of the ordinances when we sign and present the deed. But apparently, it's not working.
Well, and if someone doesn't have COVID and they have rocks, that's what's posing this problem. And, I think if we allow coping, it should be a certain kind already set in the ordinance, allowing them to do so.
Okay, gentlemen, in what he said, I don't know, and Mr. Attorney, you chime in, you've helped us through this now, so you continue to do so. But now, I'm very active with the cemetery out with my wife's grave, and I've fixed it, and I look after it, and of course, I'm maybe a little bit more attentive. I don't have any whatnots, anything out there, but I do have it fixed real nice, and I have coping around my cemetery lot out there where my parents are, and where I've already got my wife buried. My slab and everything's all the way out, already out there with my name on it. All they gotta do is put a final date on it. And I keep the inside, it's on cement, and rocks are put in there. And if a bird does leave a seed and it comes up, it comes out of the rocks. And then I keep the band around the outside of the coping about 6 or 8 inches wide with a Roundup, so that when the people do come through mowing, they don't have to do any weed eating around mine. They can mow around it, and I try to make it expedient for keeping up the, and I do some of the adjoining. But at any rate, so much for that.
Another thing, Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
The cemetery is full of loose decorations, so people who are going out there and placing these things on their loved one's grave, is clearly in violation of the ordinance. And instead of the city having to go out and collect all this stuff from these graves, I would say, ask the council to give someone a 60, or give everybody a 60-day notice, advertise in the paper and on Facebook, on our site, that they need to get, prohibited items off of their loved one's grave. I don't want to go out and pull that stuff off. I don't want bad comments on me.
Well, we have now, I don't know, it hadn't been about 3 or 4 months ago when all this came up with this lady, and she came here in the council. We run it in the paper. Charles Harrell put it all together, reinstating all this. We run it in the paper for 3 or 4 weeks.
The council can do what it wants to. We really need to revisit this ordinance.
Well, it's a major problem. I know I served on the district trustees of the Methodist Church for several years. I've served everything from Statesboro down through Waycross, and I forget what all our district covered at that time. But the Methodist Church, several years ago, this was probably 12, 15 years ago, they sent out an order that all of the cemeteries at Methodist churches throughout the country, that they wanted the churches to put together a cemetery committee and turn that property and let keep upkeep of the cemeteries and get it off of the backs of the churches. And I'll tell you what, I've been out since this has been going on and it's been on the agenda. I've been out riding over the cemeteries this week and looking at them. Of course, we're way behind because of all this water. But let me tell you what, our cemeteries are in a mess.
Yes.
I mean, they're really in bad shape. And now when somebody comes in and pays $600, or some of these folks, let's say, go back to 1950 or 1960 and bought a cemetery lot and paid us back then, let's say they paid $600. It's been 40, 50, 60 years, and so that's $10 a year that we're getting to try to mow the grass. And in other words, we can't afford it. I don't know what we're going to do with cemeteries. We've obligated ourselves. It's a city cemetery, but
Actually, it says in the ordinance you're not obligated.
Pardon?
It actually says in one of these ordinances you're not obligated.
Well, that's pretty good. I'm glad somebody put it in there. But another thing, they've come to me, of course, here again now, y'all speak up beside me and John now, just because we got on the phone here. But now, I've had people coming to me, grown, strong men, fuss the mayor. My mom and dad's grave out there is a mess, and it's been that way. Weeds are this blooming high. Well, I don't have much patience with that person if it's their mom and dad's grave. They ought to been out there doing something about it. I look after mine. But at any rate, here we are.
You say that it's in him, but the city is not.
Wait a minute, Wayne's
No,
talking.
go ahead,
John, wait a
John.
minute.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, no, you go ahead.
Where the city is not obligated, the Hazelhurst, and the Memorial, the city has always, and they took care of Northview and, well, it's a cemetery right on the right.
This was put in there, the city has historically maintained the common areas, not the actual grave site.
Right.
But this was put in there to say that it's not a perpetual care, and basically it was to avoid the city liability, saying that it currently provides for general maintenance and care of cemetery grounds, but is not obligated to do that, although we do it.
John,
Sir,
look on your, you say you've got several copies. Look on your section, in section 3-7, certain rights and privileges reserved by the city, general maintenance and no liability. And you've got A, B, in fact, go to B. See if you have the same thing in your hand that we have.
Make sure it's the make sure it's the 2019 ordinance revised and approved, John. It's under, section 3.7. Yeah, 3-7, I'm
3-7,
sorry.
and then go to B. What do you find? Read it to me.
general maintenance cemeteries owned by the city of Hazelhurst are not perpetual, I've just read that, that's what I said.
Yeah, just, are not perpetual care cemeteries, and the city is under no obligation to maintain any set of standards for care and upkeep, although the city does currently provide the general maintenance and care of the cemetery grounds.
The issue still at hand is the loose decorations that are on there, they're prohibited. And, you know, the coping needs to be addressed. I mean, one section says it's allowed, one section says it's not. And I think the problem in this situation would be resolved if there were coping in this area. But it can't say you've got to have coping. But if you don't have coping, I feel like there should be no wrong.
That's true. I think that would be covered.
That's true.
Everybody's agreeing with you, everybody's nodding their head agreeing.
I think you're correct, John, that we do need to readdress this and take some action on it too.
I think it's provided when you read everything. I think the problem is it's just not being enforced.
It's not being
It's
enforced.
just not being enforced. I mean, I agree with John, it's a touchy situation, but it is what it is, it needs to be enforced.
Right.
What are we gonna do about that? That's right there is the one that's really called, and, John, I'm sure, I just took a picture, yesterday, I believe, of this one. It's got the rock that's loose, and they go there cutting the rock, and slinging on it, and and that's, but now, you take a person that's, and if anybody wants to come and look at this, if you haven't looked at it, Mary Ann, have you looked at this? Won't you come and look at it? Come and, you've seen this, come and look at this right here in this minute. Now you see you got rock all around here, all little bitty lots. I bet there's 6 or 8 or 10 little whatnots right up there. And, but now here again, now you take,
That's in violation, very clear violation.
yeah, but now, anybody that's got that much, whatever you call it, they go out and tote and carry all that stuff out there, and you go out there and take it, I don't know what to tell them. I tell you what they need to do, they need to go buy them an acre of land somewhere and take their body and move it, and then fix it like they want it.
No.
That's a little bit overboard.
His daughter got killed, and like he told me, I don't care what the law says, what the council says, or whatever, but every week I'm gonna take a Dr. Pepper out there to my daughter's grave. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, we're dealing with a very, very sensitive matter.
That's right, that's exactly right.
I mean, that's what it goes back to what I was saying, the law's there, it's just a matter of enforcing it. And it is a sensitive matter, but
We have,
What you gonna do with those that's already there?
We have, we visited this thing 7 or 8 times, y'all, and a lot. And I've talked to Conrad, and that's why I talked to you when we first started out this year. I was trying to have a meeting with the community, let them come up here where we can actually talk. But even then, it's not gonna change, because some people got certain things when death occurs, they gonna take care of that grave if they didn't take care of them when they was alive. So, we got a rule that every so often, those ornaments and things has to be swept out of memorial out here. It's mainly where that's occurring. That has to be moved. And that's what Jeff and I, and that's what Jeff used to do. A month and a half, it would be moved. Just normally, because I think that's in their contract, that we gonna come in and take this out. So y'all please don't put it in there. We gonna keep up the grade. The reason the coping wasn't put there, because they wanted to be able to cut up next to the grave and weed eat it. Like Hazelhurst out here, a lot of those graves and some of the people has died off, the whole family. And when those season things get in there, the city is out of its place to go inside that coping. So,
Well, if it's fixed properly, like I fixed mine with a cement floor and then rocks on top of that, only a bird's gonna drop a seed in there, and that's easy to keep out. There's no weeds or leaves or nothing inside mine.
but
I think if we allow coping, it needs to be said just like that, what you said.
Well, it does, it says this, it says, slabs and coping are permitted, and it also talks about that it has to have a concrete base to it.
But is that for the one on the Lemon City Highway at Memorial? I don't think they could have coping out there.
This applies to all the cemeteries.
Yeah. If I may interject here as city clerk,
This was-
last year when
We upgraded the thing to talk about cremation.
you
We
did,
went through and added.
and you as a council
Mhm.
had this ordinance to read,
And
Have
we
any
voted to
questions?
put coping out there?
and you voted as a full council to do this
I wanna
for
apologize to,
this ordinance.
I wanna apologize to the city of Hazelhurst then, because when that cemetery was formed, they agreed not to put coping in there where they could keep it up. And that's why I kept mentioning it to Ken.
It says
Listen.
except in the Hazehurst Memorial Cemetery.
That's right.
Slabs and coping permitted except in the Hazehurst Memorial
Except they
Cemetery.
cannot put it out there, because they are supposed to be able to keep it up. And every so
Well,
often they
coping is
go through
permitted
and take it out.
when used to join graves together with concrete and rock.
Right.
All installation must have concrete under the rock.
And that's just in between it. That's just those two grades there together that joins them. That's all.
Okay, y'all, we can't spend all night here on this now. It's a touchy situation, and, like everybody's right, but you've got to handle this situation, and we gotta make up our mind. I guess we can get, for instance, on this grave that we're looking at, that we're so involved in, it'll take a pretty good sized box, something that,
Go to 3.43, please.
3.43.
Are you in the 2019, Commissioner Griffin? Commissioner Ludwig? Thank you, I'm sorry about that.
3.19.
3.43.
Oh, 3.43. Wait a minute. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. I'll get you in a minute.
I'm sitting here looking at
no.
Griffin.
All right. Okay, we're there, John, go ahead.
Are we going to allow, if there's no benches are allowed, no statues or signs?
Loose decorations shall be unlawful for any person to place loose decorations, whatnots, trinkets, glassware, toys, and other like items on a slab or monument within the city cemeteries. Statues and benches, it shall be unlawful for any person to place or cause to be placed any concrete statue, bench on or around any grave. Well, we got those in all cemeteries, that town, and
That's what I'm saying, I don't think we need to adopt an ordinance not allow, someone to go install the bin. I can see it being a certain height, a certain spec.
I would think probably there's, somewhere between 25 and 50 graves out there on the Lumber City Highway that are bad in violation. So I think what we better do with this thing, in order, because we threatened with a suit now if it could, I don't know what would be involved in it. But then, and go to each grave and mark the name on the grave stone and who's there and whatnot, and put those trinkets in that box and carry them up to the city barn and put them in there. If they want to come get them, they can get them, but they can't put it. We better save those things, and it's going to take, say the prisoners out there with some guidance, a day or two, picking all those things up and getting them uptown. But we might, that's one suggestion. Now, here again, we've got to do something with it, and I'm just trying to help.
Question, are we gonna remove benches at the same time and
That's
take
what I'm
them up there
asking,
too?
Nichols. I know somebody's got one out there that's been there for about 26 years.
Allow it.
If we remove
I don't
one,
think we
we're
have
gonna
enough.
have to readdress this, ordinance here. That needs to be removed, or the ordinance says that we're supposed to remove them too.
I think we could leave the benches, though nobody would get mad with us. I think the benches, and we'll wait for somebody to say that we need that moved too, and then we'll address that.
But we need to readdress the ordinance first. Remove that from the ordinance.
I think those benches, I remember when we talked about it one time, it should have been specified. Those benches, if they are marble and placed in the ground like they're supposed to be,
Oh,
they coincide with this.
my granddaughter.
But some people that went out and put regular benches that you sit on, that is what they was trying to get away from.
All right, y'all want to help me summarize and what we want to do about this and move on, because we're not going to spend the whole hour on it.
I think your ordinance is fine to the council and to our public, to the citizen. They have a cemetery that hopefully one day will be financially able to hire somebody to take care of them. If you go ahead and have a date set, just to go out there and wipe everything out that's loose, old flowers, old whatever, like they used to do, keep it so long at the barn, notify the public that this is what we're going to do, because you want to keep the graves up. You will do it. I mean, but
All right, make a motion then that we get a crew, maybe prisoners and employees, and go out and remove all violations except benches right now.
Does that include rocks with no coating?
Yeah, rocks too.
well, if those rocks is in between those graves, if there's two graves there,
A lawnmower, yes, all the way around thing. A lawnmower, sling them all the way
Carry
around.
that long.
well, I think you need to talk to that family if that's all around them and tell them, we've been letting this go, but it can only be between them.
All right, let me ask you this.
It's too much in question now. It needs to be readdressed as the ordinance and brought back as a motion in Thursday's meeting possibly, but, that would be the earliest. But I'd say it needs to be readdressed to committee instead of, trying to make a motion that's vague today.
Let me ask you this, could you, John sort of hospitalized, could you get by and sit down for an hour or so with John and make some recommendations and bring them back to us?
Yes.
John, Ramey?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, Ramey says he'll get with you, and y'all spend an hour or two on it and bring back a suggestion, something that we can, summarize and get this thing taken care of at Thursday night's meeting.
Okay.
All right, will that be, is that sufficient? We need to make any other move on it? Is that good enough? All right, good. John, okay, wait a minute.
May I say, on behalf of the ladies that are in that office, I don't think anyone understands the grief that they entail.
Mm-hmm.
They hand this ordinance to them.
Yeah.
They tell them to read it, okay? Now, they're the ones that get the flack from this, besides once y'all start getting the phone calls, because if we can't handle it, we'll bring it to y'all, okay? So please understand, they have said they need to get it together. So, please do what y'all can, so I can satisfy my ladies.
One question. Once a lot is purchased,
Yes, sir.
what is in that agreement? What is stated on when, I don't know what I'm
The
trying to...
only item
The,
that is given
But
is
it's
a
subject to
deed,
this.
Okay,
plus your ordinance.
and you give them the ordinance.
Yes, they don't sign anything other than
The
where they
deed.
give us the money.
They don't even sign that they have read this?
No, nothing's been enforced. It has been told, just give them the ordinance.
But that
Therein,
can be
it-
done in a respectful manner that they would understand.
Yeah, and we do. We point out certain things. We highlight things, Commissioner Bloodworth, you know.
all right, you go, Madam Clerk, you can get with, Mr. John and Mr. John and, point out these things to them as they get together. Let's try to get something we can deal with Thursday night. And everybody, Dwayne, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Leggett, let's all, try to get involved and summarize this thing and try to handle it as best we can. It's a touchy situation. And another thing, for $600 and to perpetually maintain a cemetery, my recommendation to the city council, and I guess, I don't care what, my recommendation to the city council, if we can find any way in the world to get out of the cemetery business, let's get out.
Well, I love you, Mr. Mayor.
I know you are.
But the very first mayor I was in, that was our first headbutt. I think you owe it to the peoples of Jeff Davis County and of the city of Hazelhurst. And I told him, Northview, Hazelhurst again, and the cemetery over here, they fought in those wars. Those people give their life and their blood to this place, and we owe it to them to give them a nice place to rest. That's it. So, I think y'all need to take care of them graves.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I have heard you, Mr. Johnson.
with John, not me.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. We're gonna, hash this some more Thursday night. I'm looking forward to what happens. All right. Have all of you had a chance to, go by and look at the repairs to our two buildings next door? We have, put a brand new roof on the building we bought from Southside on the corner here. It's got a new roof and doesn't have that old flat roof anymore. We sloped it and the roof job is complete on the building. Now that we've got it, dried in, so the building, so it's dry, and we can begin to do the work on the inside, but at least we have finally got a roof on that building. It was sort of embarrassing. Also, the probation building next door, it was a dry goods store, and you wanted windows to display all their goods, and it was a sales tool to have all of the glass in front, but when people sitting there right at it are not more than 3 or 4 feet from that glass, in July and August, it was a heater in July and August, and you couldn't hardly heat the building with people sitting up there and the thing closed up and all. Those little offices closed up. So at any rate, all that glass is out from there, and the women, I visited with them, we did it this weekend. The women are extremely proud of it, and we'll have it finished, and we're gonna let them pick the colors. We will do everything, we'll be through, and we will paint it this coming weekend while they're away, and when they come back Monday morning, they'll have a bright new office without all that glass out front. That's all I wanted to say. Y'all got any other questions about it? Good. Well, I'm glad y'all approve. All right,
I even made a suggestion what to paint it.
huh?
I even made a suggestion what to paint it.
Well, I'm sure they're not gonna do what you said.
I thought Georgia Bulldog red would be good.
All right, our clerk, Ms. Thompson says that the, item number 3 has been, like a lot of other appointments, has been, and John, you got your schedule there?
Yes, sir.
Suicide bombing and also the training, exercise, spring training, and all that's, GMA has canceled all of that. So that, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, we're down to review water and sewer adjustments, report to council, and to review the check register. I entertain a motion that we approve all of these 3 items at one time.
we're gonna do it tonight,
Right, well,
rather than...
there's
Oh.
some thought here.
Doesn't matter to me.
Huh?
You make a motion, I'll second it, do it.
Well, let's do that in regular session. I think, thank
Yeah,
you,
it'd be-
thank you, Mr. Johnson. I seem to sometimes forget whether I'm in work session or regular session. Okay, we'll handle that Thursday night, put that back on the agenda, we'll handle it Thursday night. Okay, citizens' comments.
I got it.
Okay,
Where did we ever come up with as a city as far as hiring us a auditing firm to take and get us back on level ground like we need to be?
I didn't understand your question.
Hiring an auditor to take and do our annual audits and everything.
The only thing I can tell you about that, and I'm probably the one that you need to pinch if there's any pinching required about the audit, is that we were told about the time an audit was due, that the auditor wasn't gonna do it.
Okay.
And I got busy and with the help of, Ms. Metz, Tammy, and we looked and finally got this group out of Valdosta. And, she, knew more about some of this than I did. And it was a much higher price than we've been accustomed to paying, but, they're a very reputable firm, big, firm to do the audit, and they finally completed it. Upon completing it, we were already laid into the next audit, and the thing that I heard, it shocked me. I thought, well, surely they won't charge us as much, and now that they've gone all through this, we've got us an audit ready to go, and they said because of the complications they had in preparing the audit, they didn't want to do business with us anymore. And I like to fill in the floor.
Well, I remember all that, and I was
Okay.
just asking where.
Well,
we're going.
since then, we've got notification that they've got all the material and that they're back in the saddle, and we do have an auditor at this time. Is that correct now from what you understand, Mr. Clerk?
Matter of fact, I put it upon myself to deliver the stuff after I made copies.
That we didn't say make a speech.
I did. I wasn't gonna be caught in that, darling.
I'm teasing. So we are in the process of another audit, and we're behind. I don't know when we're gonna ever catch up. Okay, any other questions?
We behind?
Absolutely, we're behind.
We're behind when the other one was made.
Yeah, we're behind now. We've gotten a letter written to our GFA loan committee that we've got this loan with, and others, and I found out that, we're not the only ones. There's a lot of them, and it's about the same shape we're in, so we're not by ourselves. But at least we are diligently, trying to get it done, and we've got a good firm, and our clerk and Ms. Tammy is working very hard. And I don't think we're subject to any financial difficulties because of it, because our auditor's written letters on our behalf to the state auditor. So I believe we're okay. That's the best information I can give you. All right, any other questions? All right, I just got Charles Watson and his group to get a count on the latest, virus, casualties, or not necessarily casualties, the total cases numbers, and then the casualties too, and I've got it in my phone, I read it a few minutes ago. It's gone up from yesterday, several. In fact, the count statewide now is 121 cases as of, I believe, Dustin told me this is just a few hours old, this latest report. It's 121 cases.
Point of clarity, that is cases, not casualties.
That's correct, that's cases, yes. And, so we're trying to keep up with that. The only thing that, there's all sorts of, actions being taken, and, it worries me to death, as I said, and I was very sincere in my opening prayer and invocation, that this is a tremendous load that, our nation, our national leaders, all of our state governments throughout these numerous states of ours, and then even little municipalities like us, the lives and well-being of our people is very important. And it's,
There's 121, they're done at Jeff Davis for Hazelhurst, correct?
that's correct, that's correct.
He
The,
said 121.
at any rate, we will listen to our leaders up the way and on the state level and other areas, and see what happens. And we, as a group, I'm sure, y'all will agree with me, that we'll make every decision as soberly and wise as we can to make the best judgments for our people. Anything else? What's this?
Everyone said that.
This is the,
You said that was Kemp.
That's the, Renaissance Bank. Little, part of, we've always enjoyed, that the Renaissance Bank has had several of them and had another one planned for, April the 16th, as they've already canceled it. That's been canceled. I think all public meetings of any size, school's out. Our fire chief, he is also the
Emergency.
Pardon?
Emergency manager.
Yeah, the emergency management director. They're in session down there now on the radio with all sorts of people communicating, and they'll give me, as soon as it got through, that they'll give me a report on what they're recommending for us through our fire chief, Charles Wasden, and that function that he has. And he and that entire group is down there in a meeting now. Yes, they're in a meeting now down there. And so we'll just have to be on the alert. Let's all be as careful as we can and stay as healthy as we can. And anything that we need to do as community leaders to keep this community safe, we want to do. And I'll assure you that I will do it, and I know you'll help me. Anything else?
So as far as we know, the chamber function, what is it, next week?
The chamber function that was to go on this Saturday night has been canceled until April the 18th.
It seems that everything except picking up trash and selling parts, we're still doing that.
Rock and roll.
We're selling groceries.
You selling groceries? Well, I know you told me you sold out.
Well, it's just about empty out there.
Okay, anything else we need to bring up? Okay, since we've pretty well wiped this out now, if y'all got anything you think that we need to discuss or put on the program for Thursday night, let's try to keep ourselves current, look after our business. The only thing I will mention to you, on top of getting a little work done on our buildings out here, finally, Rhonda, there's no worry about failed on the GSP post. We've got a nice roof on it all the way around. And we are now beginning to clean up the grounds, and you'll begin to see the grounds and the yard, the curbing and the outside work go in. The superintendent out there told me they finished primarily almost all of the electrical inside's done. They've got a few things that they had a plumber, and he got somehow he did something wrong, and they put him in the caboose, and he couldn't come out. Well, they've got a new plumber, and the last of the bathroom and sink fixtures and all that is being done. The automatic sprinkler in the area that requires it, the man is going to be in there this week getting all that done, and the air conditioner people will start running the air conditioning duct in there, and we'll be ready to go into the seating. Now, the seating under the carport is going in, and tell me, what is that material we approved?
I can't call the name of it, you might help me there with it. It's made out of concrete. It's, what do they call that?
It's got a name.
Yeah.
I told you my house has it on there.
Yeah.
Hardy plank, hardy
Yeah,
plank.
hardy board, that's.
Hardy plank.
Yeah, at any rate, we carried us to another facility that they had used it in and recommended it. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's easier to paint, much easier to maintain, and has a longer life.
It'll hold the coat of paint 10 times longer than wood would.
Well,
It's indestructible.
Yeah, we went and made a trip and looked at it and agreed to use it, and I never had heard of it. I didn't know anything about it, but it appears to be real good material. So when I was out there this afternoon, they were, I'd say, over halfway through with that in that area.
I didn't know that they had the molding and everything, the trim and everything that's in hardy board
Oh,
now.
yeah. And they've got all that out there, so it's gonna be a good project. I'm not gonna say when we're gonna get through, because I don't know which prisoners are gonna get locked up and fix where you can't come back. They find a good plumber, and then he comes out and has his, girlfriend to bring him some marijuana and throw it out there in the highway ditch and all that sort of mess, so it's a mess working prisoners. But at any rate, that project's coming along pretty good now. The, water line that we're, running out the Yon Road, that 12-inch big water line, is, I'd say 25% laid, by the time they quit today. That's going fine. We're going to bid the, CDBG Thursday of this week, isn't it?
I think that's what I
Yeah,
heard.
this Thursday, they're gonna be in here bidding that CDBG project, which is a bunch of, fire hydrants and all in your district over there. And then following that, within another 30 days, we're gonna bid the new, well, and about, how many, 104 more fire hydrants, water lines.
So it was 80-something, but they.
Well, they combined, yeah. But at any rate, we've got a lot going on. For those that may not know, and of course, a lot of folks are not as fond of the airport as I am, but I'm very fond of that airport out there and what it means to the business community here. Mary Ann may not like all the traffic when she's trying to sleep or take a nap, but that's tough. You bought the house, you knew the airport was there when you bought it. But we're fixing to spend another over $2 million on that airport. So not only have we now got a nice full-length taxiway, we've extended the runway and got it so that corporate planes and small jets can fly out of there legally and be covered by insurance. We've got a nice taxiway there, and now we're fixing to rehabilitate our entire length of our runway and all of our pad and around all of our hangars, and everything's going to be brand new. And we've got a nice airport. Everybody likes it, and we keep our gas about 10 cents or 15 cents below everybody around. And the pilot's got it on his book. If he needs gas, he says, "Oh man, they got cheap gas here." And in Hazlehurst, they come. We sell more gas than any airport around here, and so we're a right busy crowd. The airport, the two projects, the water projects, the state patrol post. Oh, the overpass over the railroad will be. They say we'll be going across it sometime in the month of August. So we'll be going across the railroad track on our overpass. So we got a lot going on.
Diligently working on, making sure that we have our emergency readiness of our generators and things in place.
But, thank you, we're doing, we're slow as the devil, though. I'll tell you what, Grandpa was slow, but he was old, I reckon I am. But we're the slowest things getting those generators. We finally, back when we had our storm, what year was it, that we had the storm in
Last week.
2000 and, what year was it, y'all, 2009 or?
18.
No.
Yeah, it was 18, because it was the year before last.
That was about it. It was almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I can't keep up with the dates anymore. At any rate, is that when all the storm, that we wiped out everything over there, and trees fell all over the people's yard and all, okay, all right. Well, at any rate, with that, we had one 50 kW generator, and we thought it would work well, and it would not. And I brought people from all over everywhere in here to try to rewire it and get it phased to make it work, and it made a monkey out of me, but I've made one before. But now I want you to know, we've got a 150 kW generator, we've got an 80 kW generator, we've got a 260 kW generators and a 50 kW generators. So in that length of time, where we had one little 50, we've got all those generators sitting there. And I've got Mr. Roger East, who's an electrician with Triple H and has worked with Hazlehurst Mills for years, sort of a master electrician. He's checked all the capacity of these generators and checked all of our needs. Each well, each lift station, for instance, we got one lift station that's got two 27 horsepower motors in it. We first made the mistake that somebody told me it was 27 horsepower, but a lot of times it's such a big one, the curves is pumping all the way out to the treatment plant. Sometimes it takes both of those pumps going at one time, so you've got to equip and put a generator there capable of handling two 27 horsepower motors pumping full capacity at the same time. So now we're taking our 150 KW unit, our biggest one, and putting it, that's the heaviest load. Or up at almost, we got a little, that's questionable, there's a little question there that I've come up with lately. But then, the Gill Street well, we got a new 80 KW unit, we just went down to Eglin Air Force Base and brought it back, and it's fixing to be installed at the Gill Street well, and so that will pump, and if a storm goes out, at least we're gonna have everybody in water. And then we've got the other units that's going to the Alma Lift Station, and, I forget where else, but at any rate, we're finally getting ourselves, if we have a storm, and all of the electricity and everything is wiped out, that we've got generators that can keep us, commodes flushing, and our water in our kitchen, and so that's, thank you for bringing that up, that is a big item that we're doing, taking a lot of time to do that. And we've been able to buy those generators through the, federal and state surplus property. One of them came from Connecticut, one of them came from state of Washington, one of them came from, Eglin, I forget where the other one came from, but it's surplus property, and every one of them is running, they run like a top. The Air Force or wherever they were located took them out for some reason. The one we just got, that's going to the Gill Street well, has only been run 162 hours. And it's a $75,000 generator, we got it for $4,000. So, you see that as a municipality, if we'll work it and watch what we're doing, we can buy these, federal and state services and get it done. So we're working hard on that. Anything else? Mr. Johnson?
So move, let's go home.
Mr. Johnson moves that we go home. Ms. Lady, you have, hey, wait a minute, Bloodworth's online. Mr. Bloodworth seconded. I almost forgot for a minute that you were here, John. Mr. Bloodworth, you did second it, right?
I did.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're dismissed. See you Thursday.